All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for showing up this morning to officially welcome back Kelly Krauskopf as President of Basketball Business Operations for the Indiana Fever.
What if the biggest star in women's basketball isn't being protected, but quietly sacrificed? What if the player, who just saved an entire league, is the same player being left to fight alone? Because what just happened to Caitlin Clark has fans asking one shocking question. Did the Indiana Fever just choose politics over their own superstar? When Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA as the #1 pick in 2024, this wasn't just a draft pick. It was a cultural shift. Coming out of University of Iowa, she shattered records, broke viewership expectations, and became the most watched player in women's basketball history. Her games were outperforming major sporting events. Ticket prices skyrocketed. Arenas sold out in minutes. This was the Caitlin Clark effect. And for the WNBA, it was a financial revolution. But instead of a hero's welcome, she got hit hard. From day one, defenders weren't just guarding Clark, they were targeting her. And then came the moment that changed everything. During a heated matchup against the Chicago Sky, Chundi Carter delivered a blindside hit on Clark. Off the ball. No play being made. Just impact. The internet exploded. Fans called it dirty. Analysts called it intentional. And when the league responded with only a flagrant one, the narrative shifted. This wasn't just physical basketball anymore. This felt personal. But the real controversy? It wasn't just opponents. It was her own team, the Indiana Fever. Over and over again, Clark stood open, and the ball never came. Fans began asking, was she being frozen out? Was jealousy creeping into the locker room? Even Aaliyah Boston, a cornerstone of the franchise, gave vague, careful answers when asked about chemistry. No denial, no clarity, just silence. Then came the media voices. Legends, veterans, icons, like Diana Taurasi, who famously said, "Reality is coming." To some, it was a warning. To others, a message. Because Clark wasn't just a rookie. She was becoming the face of the league overnight. And that created tension. A deeper conversation emerged about media narratives, recognition, and legacy. Then came the decision that stunned the world. Caitlin Clark was left off the 2024 Paris Olympics Team USA roster. No spot, not even as a reserve, despite being the most talked about player in the sport. The explanation? Experience. Chemistry. But fans weren't buying it. This felt like something else. Something bigger. Now all eyes turned to the Indiana Fever front office. Would they defend their star? Fight back? Call it out? Instead, they stayed neutral, measured, careful, quiet. And that's when it hit fans. This was the real decision. Not the Olympic snub, but the choice not to fight for her. Here's the truth. Caitlin Clark is driving historic revenue. Sold-out arenas, record TV ratings, massive sponsorships. But she's also challenging something deeper. The league's identity, its hierarchy, its history. And now, the WNBA faces a choice. Will the league embrace the future? Or resist it at all costs? Because right now, Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's the test. And how they treat her next will define everything. If you want the truth behind sports stories the media won't tell you, subscribe now. Because this story is far from over. The storm surrounding the Indiana Fever just escalated to a level nobody saw coming. And at the center of this unfolding chaos is Caitlin Clark, the player who is supposed to save the franchise, not be caught in its most shocking internal shift. According to multiple insiders, what looked like a routine strategic adjustment has now been exposed as something far more intense, a top-down directive from the Fever president that has quietly redefined Clark's role in ways that are sending shockwaves through the locker room and beyond. This wasn't just about tweaking plays, this was about control, about power, about drawing a hard line in the sand and making it crystal clear that the Fever will not become a one-player show, no matter how generational that player may be. Sources claim that Clark has been asked to significantly adjust her on-court identity, less isolation brilliance, fewer logo range heat checks, and a stronger emphasis on distributing, slowing tempo, and fitting into a more rigid offensive system. And here's where it gets explosive. Some within the organization believe her free-flowing style was actually disrupting the development of other key players. Let that sink in. The very thing that made Clark a phenomenon is now being labeled as a potential problem behind closed doors. Fans are stunned. Analysts are divided. And social media? It's on fire with one burning question. How do you restrict the most electrifying rookie the league has seen in years? But the Fever president isn't backing down. In fact, insiders say this decision was made with full awareness of the backlash, signaling a bold, and some would say risky, commitment to long-term structure over short-term spectacle. And just like that, the narrative has flipped. This is no longer just about Caitlin Clark dominating headlines. It's about whether the system will force her to evolve or break under the weight of its own expectations. And if you thought that was the peak of the drama, think again, because the ripple effects of this decision are already creating a deeper, more intense storyline that could define not just Clark's rookie season, but the future of the entire franchise. Behind the scenes, tension is reportedly building as teammates, coaches, and executives all try to navigate this new reality, where the spotlight is both a blessing and a burden. Some players are said to quietly welcome the shift, believing it creates a more balanced team dynamic and gives them space to shine without being overshadowed by Clark's constant highlight reel. Others? Not so much. There are whispers that this move could fracture the chemistry that was already fragile under the weight of unprecedented media attention. And then there's Clark herself, arguably under more pressure now than at any point in her career. Because this isn't college anymore. This isn't a system built entirely around her strengths. This is the pros, where adaptation isn't optional, it's survival. League insiders are already framing this moment as a defining test. Can Caitlin Clark transform from a once-in-a-generation scorer into a system-driven leader without losing the very edge that made her special? Or will this brutal decision ignite a silent battle between player and organization that slowly unravels everything the Fever have tried to build? Meanwhile, rival teams are watching like predators, ready to capitalize on any signs of instability. Because if the Fever miscalculated, even slightly, it could open the door for the rest of the league to strike. And here's the most shocking part of all. Some executives around the WNBA are reportedly praising the Fever for having the courage to make this call, suggesting that managing a superstar like Clark requires tough, even controversial decisions early on. But courage and consequences often walk hand in hand, and now, the Fever are standing at the edge of both. One decision, one player, one franchise under the brightest spotlight in basketball. And what happens next? It won't just impact Caitlin Clark. It could redefine the power structure of the entire WNBA.